the man behind the lens of one of the most sepulchral photographs of the century, a Sudanese child, starved almost to death, crouching with her head buried in her tiny hands while a vulture awaits her death so that it could devour the corpse. A jarring image of poverty, destitute and famine, the photograph fetched Carter the Pulitzer Prize in 1994, but he had seen too much by that time. Carter chased the vulture away after taking the shot but couldn't do much to help the girl. After suffering from depression for months, Carter finally committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning in 1994. He was only 33 at the time of his death. His note read, "I am haunted by the vivid memories of killings and corpses and anger and pain, of starving or wounded children, of trigger-happy madmen, often police, of killer executioners." Having spent 40 hours inside a bunker with his newly wedded wife, Eva Braun, Hitler realized that there was no escape from the Red Army. He had also come to know of the fall of his friend, Benito Mussolini, and how he was cut into pieces and thrown into the gutter by the Italian partisans. Adolf Hitler was too proud to let himself or his wife die in such disgrace, and realizing imminent capture, he decided to end his and his wife's lives. Without any sign of remorse for his deeds as the Führer, Hitler prepared the last will that announced the decision of him ending his and his just-wedded wife. His note read, "I myself and my wife, in order to escape the disgrace of deposition or capitulation, choose death." The man on whose life the Johnny Depp star Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was made, Hunter S. Thompson, was the inventor of what we call today the gonzo journalism, a style where the reporter becomes a part of the story and often writes in first-person narrative. Thompson was in his fortified compound called Owl Farm, Colorado, where he shot himself dead with a gun. He was on the phone with his wife, Anita, when he cocked the gun, and Anita thought that cocking of the gun was just the sound of the typewriter he was using for writing an ESPN column. The typewriter had just one page with a single word written on it, "Counselor." However, an apparent suicide note written by him to Anita was published by Rolling Stone. His note read, "No more games. No more bombs. No more walking. No more fun. No more swimming. 67. That is 17 years past 50. 17 more than I needed or wanted. Boring. I am always bitchy. No fun for anybody. You are getting greedy. Act your old age. Relax, this won't hurt." The lyricist and frontman of the Norwegian black metal band, Mayhem, Per Olin, was better known by his stage name, Dead. Melancholic, dark, depressed and strange were the attributes given to him by his bandmates. Not only would he wear corpse makeup on stage, he would also bury his clothes and dig them up before gigs to look like a corpse. Once, after finding a dead crow, he kept it with himself only to take it out on stage and sniff it. He would often cut his wrists and showed suicidal tendencies which actually worked for the band's image. Finally, on April 8, 1991, Olin left for the woods where he shot himself dead after slitting his throat and wrists with a knife. His note read, "Excuse the blood, but I have slit my wrists and neck. It was the intention that I would die in the woods so that it would take a few days before I was possibly found. I belong in the woods and have always done so. No one will understand the reason for this anyway." Kristen Chubbuck, an American news reporter, shot herself with a gun when she was on air, presenting a live television broadcast. This may not have been ideally a part of the list of suicide notes had she not included the act as a part of the script. Christine had convinced the channel to make a show on suicides, and she had also researched on various methods of committing suicide prior to the show. On the day of the show, Chubbuck covered 3 national stories followed by shooting news from the previous day. Then, with a few words and a shrug of her shoulder, Christine drew out a revolver and shot herself behind the ear. The broadcast was faded to black, but several viewers had already witnessed the incident by then. Her last words on camera, in keeping with Channel 40's policy of bringing you the latest in blood and guts, and in living color, you are going to see another first: attempted suicide. Frontman of American grunge rock legends, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain was found dead at his residence on April 8, 1994. According to forensic reports, 27-year-old Kurt had blown his head off with a shotgun. Cobain was said to have suicidal tendencies long before he shot to fame, and during the 1991 European tour of Nirvana, Cobain suffered from acute stomach pains regarding which he later accounted, "This heroin is the only thing that's saving me from blowing my head off right now." One of the most famous members of the 27 Club, Cobain's death was a tragedy to millions of fans all over the world, many of whom still don't believe it was a suicide. His note read, "I don't have the passion anymore, and so remember, it's better to burn out than to fade away." It might be a little morbid and inhuman to consider a suicide note as a piece of literature, but Virginia Woolf's last letter was no less than one. One of England's most gifted author, Virginia Woolf was quite artistic in the way she died as well. On March 28, 1941, Woolf filled the pockets of her overcoat with stones and drowned herself in rivers. Her body was found on April 18. She was 59 years old, and the relapse of her clinical depression was too much for her to take this time. The beginning of the Second World War, the burning down of her house during the Blitz, and the cold receptions to the biography that she had written for friend Roger Fry worsened her mental health. Her note to husband, Leonard read, "Dearest, I feel certain that I am going mad again. I feel we can't go through another of those terrible times. And I shan't recover this time. Everything has gone from me but the certainty of your goodness. I can't go on spoiling your life any longer." Gia Khan was quite promising, an actress who made her debut in Bollywood with Ram Gopal Verma's Nishabd in 2007. Gia's career was moving fine with 2 of her films, Gay Genie and Houseful, making it into the 100 crore grosser club. However, her relationship with Bollywood actor Suraj Panchali didn't end well, which prompted her to end her life. Gia Khan was found hanging from a ceiling fan at her Joe residence in Mumbai in 2013. 4 days after she committed suicide, a 6-page suicide letter was discovered by her sister which mentioned her plans to end her life and also a recent abortion. Her note to Suraj Panchali read, "I don't know why destiny brought us together. After all the pain, the rape, the abuse, the torture I have seen previously, I didn't deserve this." Author, singer-songwriter, music composer and television actor, George Sanders' suicide note, though tragic, was perhaps the most badass suicide note ever to be written by a celebrity. Sanders, in his later years, suffered from dementia and his health was worsened fast. He was deeply saddened by the fact that he needed someone else's help to carry out simple day-to-day activities. The man behind the voice of Shere Khan from Disney's Jungle Book, Sanders checked into a hotel on April 23, 1972, drank 5 full bottles of barbiturate Nembutal, and was found dead 2 days later. One of his 3 suicide notes read, "Dear world, I am leaving because I am bored. I feel I have lived long enough. I am leaving you with your worries in this sweet cesspool. Good luck." Leila Alcorn was an American transgender girl whose suicide attracted international attention. Prior to her death on December 28, 2014, Alcorn scheduled for her suicide note to be automatically posted on her Tumblr account at 5:30 p.m. In the note, she stated her intention to end her life, commenting, "I have decided I've had enough. I'm never going to transition successfully, even when I move out. I'm never going to be happy with the way I look or sound. I'm never going to have enough friends to satisfy me. I'm never going to have enough love to satisfy me. I'm never going to find a man who loves me. I'm never going to be happy. Either I live the rest of my life as a lonely man who wishes he were a woman, or I live my life as a lonely woman who hates herself. There's no winning. There's no way out. I'm sad enough already. I don't need my life to get any worse. People say it gets better, but that isn't true in my case. It gets worse. Each day I get worse. That's the gist of it. That's why I feel like killing myself. Sorry if that's not a good enough reason for you. It's good enough for me." She expressed her wish that all of her possessions and money be donated to a transgender advocacy charity, and called for issues surrounding gender identity to be taught in schools. The note ended with a statement, "My death needs to mean something. My death needs to be counted in the number of transgender people who commit suicide this year. I want someone to look at that number and say that's fucked up and fix it. Fix society. Please."